Hi guys, Jeff at Slavens Racing. Today's video is about how to tune your Get ECU equipped dirt bike for better performance. So you're probably wondering why you would want to do that. You're thinking, well, wait a minute, Jeff, I ordered one from you and you installed custom maps for my elevation and my engine mods, and so why do I need to mess with that? Well, the problem is that we all live in different parts of the country, and in those different parts there's different fuel quality, there's different air density, there's a lot of different factors just in your environment that can affect how your bike runs. Plus, not all bikes run the same even if they're all in the same place. So if you pulled, say, 10 KTM 500s off the dealer showroom floor in your area and rode them all, I guarantee you one of those would be a standout performer. It would run better than the rest of them. 3 or 4 or 5 of them would run pretty damn good, but not quite as good as that one. And then there'd be 3 or 4 in there that had some issues. You know, maybe they would start a little hard, idle a little rough, and just not perform quite as strong as the other ones. That's just the way it is. There's just inconsistencies in production. And so sometimes you need to do some little tweaking at home on the map to help compensate for those inconsistencies. And you can do it on your own, or you can do it with our advice. You're welcome to call and I'll help step you through it. But this video is about how to do it. So in a previous video I've showed you how to download the app, log on, and set the TPS. Those are all the basics that have to be done before you start doing any tuning or even riding the bike. And so now I'm going to show you how to tune it. So you already know how to get into the app because that was it. That information was in the previous video. So I've already gone into the app here. I've fired up the Wi-Fi. Now on 2 strokes you have to plug in the dongle to have the Wi-Fi running, and on 4 strokes you turn on the ignition switch. And all right, so I'm already on my app, and I've opened it to 2 bikes I have loaded here, so I'm just going to pick this top one. And from here it says factory maps or custom maps, so I'm going to go into the custom maps. And then I'm going to pick this top one here. And across the top here, you'll see IG map 1, FI map 1, and then IG 2 and FI 2. And you can see that one on the far left, IG map 1, it's orange and it's got a blue bar underneath it. But IG stands for ignition, and we're not going to mess with that today. I'm not saying that you should never touch that, but most of the time you should leave the ignition alone and focus on the fueling. So I'm going to click on this map 1, and it's all zeros here. Now guys call me on this and sometimes write me emails and sometimes get even a little bit heated about it. They're saying, wait a minute, I paid for custom maps and there's no map in here. It's all zeros. It's just a base map. Well, that's not true. The deal is no matter what kind of map, custom or the factory map that are in this in your ECU, you can't see the maps. This grid is only a platform from which to richen or lean out the mixture in percentages. It does not show you the map, and if it did, that wouldn't really be of much help to you anyhow. The actual maps are very complex. It's a lot more than just this little tiny grid that you see here. So if you go here and you see zeros, that does not mean that you didn't get the maps that you ordered. From here, adjusting the map. So let's say your bike just feels a little soft on the bottom. You think, man, this thing should have better grunt than this. It's not that responsive on the bottom. Well, most of the time a flat performance like that would indicate lean. Not necessarily. Rich can give you that sometimes too, but majority of the time, especially on the two-strokes, that's probably going to indicate lean, so you would want to add some fuel to it. And you know, if you go the wrong way, if you add fuel and it makes it worse, well then you just know you went the wrong way, so you can go the opposite direction. And you're allowed, the app allows you to lean only up to 10%, so minus 10, and you can add up to 30% of fuel. So they've kind of built that in that way, especially on the lean side, so that you probably won't do any damage to your engine. You can make an engine as rich as you want, and that doesn't hurt them at all. You could foul a plug, stuff like that, but it won't hurt the engine. So we're going to just pick a scenario here of, I think my bike needs to be richer on the low end, so I want to richen it up, see what happens. So I would pick the first two columns, but this is not the tuning grid. You got to tap on this. Well, now it doesn't seem to want to respond tonight. That's weird. There we go. I tapped on it several times and it finally changed. So now it's in the grid that you can actually adjust. And you can just tap on the cell and it will highlight it like there. So I'm going to just highlight all these on these first two rows. And let me explain what these rows mean, or columns. So the column below 2,000 to 5,000 here, that's 2,000 RPM, 5,000 RPM, and then on up the line, 7,500, 10,000, 12,500, and 15. And then the rows on the left, 0 is 0% throttle, 20% throttle, 40%, 70%, and 100% throttle, so wide open throttle. Now, the two strokes, typically you would only go up to 10,000 RPM because they really don't make any power past that. Like a 250 or 350 four-stroke will rev up to 13.5. So you'd want to, if you're focusing on higher RPM stuff, that gives you some guidelines for that. But right now we're talking about low end, and that's typically where most of the issues are, especially like on a four-stroke where you might have some deceleration pop. You know, you back off the throttle and it pops through the exhaust. Well, then you'd want to richen this 2,000 and 5,000 area from top to bottom. So I think if you're going to make a change, make a change. I mean, guys say, oh, I changed it 1% or 2%, and oh, it's just right now. Well, I'm sorry, guys, I have a hard time believing that. It's very hard to feel 1 or 2%. So I do it in 5% increments, and sometimes 10% increments, depending on how far off I think it is. So on this one, on these cells, I'm going to go up. So I'm going to use these arrows down here below the grid, and I'm using the up arrow, and I'm going to add 5% fuel. So from there, I'm going to hit this arrow in the upper left, and it shows the 5%, but it's not locked in yet. You got to click on that arrow in the upper right. It says update ECU maps. I'm going to click OK. Maps updated. I'm going to click X, and now it's locked in. So other things you can do here, you know, if you have numerous maps or several maps in your phone, you can put names on them if you want. So any of these areas that have the blue bar underneath are active. So I'm click on that one right there, and I can change that to whatever. See what I'm doing there? So I'm going to put it back in there because COMO is just my own little name for a Colorado and Moab map. And then the comment below it, I put in the 9105. That gives me the exact number of the map. I put numbers on maps so I can keep track of them in a spreadsheet. So that's one thing that you can do if you'd like. You can get this gear cut up here. That does not apply. That's a whole nother subject, but that's, and then below that is the launch control. If you have a launch control device on your bike, like a motocross guy, well then you can get into that area and make changes if you want. And you got to make sure on the top here that you're actually on the fuel map and not the ignition map. So you can see I've got FI map 1, fuel injection map 1 lit up. So if I go over here to map 2, you're going to see that it's zeros because I haven't done anything to that one. Go back to here, you can see that that's 5% increase just at low RPM. And if you did want to mess with the timing, well then you'd come over here. I don't know why this is not being active tonight. There we go. But this is not in percentages, this is in degrees. So say at 5,000 RPM all the way through, you wanted to increase it 2 degrees. Now in timing, you definitely want to go small. You would never go 5 degrees or 10 degrees at a time unless you really knew what you were doing, had experience with the app, and were ready to go for it. But otherwise, go in very small increments. So I can go through the same procedure, hit that up arrow in the upper left, and then the one in the upper right and lock it in. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take this back out and just leave that alone for now. And that's really all there is to that. So that's for tuning. Now if you want to, let's see, what have we got down here at the bottom? Let's see if we can get this to light up. All right, so service, maintenance, diagnostics. So this is a handy part of this app as well. It's the diagnostics center, and if there's a problem with any of these sensors listed here, it will come up with an error code. It will put like a red X by it, and that can help you sometimes if you're having problems. You should go in here and take a look. So that's all there is to it on the tuning part, guys. I'm going to go back to the tuning down here on the bottom. You can see service is blue now. I'm going to go over there to tuning. Here's factory maps. It just shows that they're flat, no corrections have been made. And it's really that simple. I'd recommend that you just go in there and play around with it. They typically have a demo mode. In other words, if you're not plugged into the bike, if you don't have the Wi-Fi plugged in, you're just say at your desk at work or something, you can go into the app and it will go into a demo mode. But the demo mode with this new update, this 3.0, the demo mode is not currently working. But I've been told by Get that that should be working in a couple of weeks. And then that really gives you an opportunity to go in and just fiddle fart around and see how it all works without making any changes to your ECU. So guys, I hope this is a help. If you have any questions, you're always welcome to send me an email at info@slavensracing.com, or you can give us a call, 719-475-2624. We answer our phones Monday through Friday from 9 to 5:30. I've got a very qualified staff, but they're not trained on the Get ECU, and they will almost always refer those calls to me unless I'm out testing or on a trail ride or just out of town. We're always glad to help you. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Instagram. That's all for now.